And in this tour, we're going to be looking at the ancient Egyptian household. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Egyptian household.
Now, almost all Egyptians lived along the Nile River, either in cities or houses. And the majority of those houses are made out of mud brick, which we'll see in a moment. Even the wealthier ones are made from brick and not stone.
Certain professions were open only to women, such as weaving or professional mourning, while others were available to both genders, including working as servants for the rich households. Social status did have an impact, though. The higher in status, the easier it was to obtain education and access different professions.
Which is quite similar to today. If you're born into a higher status today, it's usually easier for you to get higher education or get into certain professions as if you're born into a lower status. Let's look at a lower status house here.
Homes were generally composed of 3 rooms. First, there was the entrance, furnished with a small bench of brick, probably intended for a statue and protective divinity. Then there was the ceremonial room, meant to receive guests. The last room was either a bedroom or kitchen. Furniture consisted of basic chairs, chests, and storage. Tables were not used for family dinners. Instead, each individual had a small table of their own.
So look at this. Let's see this very simple furnishing of this more lower class Egyptian household.
Marriages were a social contract rather than a religious construct. Family was vitally important to ancient Egyptians, and children were considered a blessing from the gods. The father, mother, and their children were the nucleus of the family, and cohabitation sometimes extended to mothers-in-law, sisters, aunts, and sisters-in-law.
So that was the house of a lower class Egyptian. As we come up this hill, you're going to see the very large contrast between that of the lower class and upper class Egyptians. Notice not only how much more stuff they have inside, furnishings-wise, but like the outside decorations and overall presentation of the house is much fancier than that of the lower class Egyptian household.
Status and wealth played a large role in the style and size of ancient Egyptian homes. Commoners' houses were built with sun-baked mud bricks. Wealthier homes were often painted in white and decorated with various motifs.
This one has much more color and kind of sculpted designs and motifs on the outside. Already you're seeing on the outside more possessions, just as today. The wealthy have more possessions and stuff than the lower class citizens.
Town officials and the rich lived in mansions with numerous rooms that were luxuriously decorated. Only temples and tombs meant to last for all eternity were built with stone.
So stonework was reserved mostly for the pharaohs and for the gods to represent their importance in divinity. But even so, made of brick, this is quite a contrast of quality compared to the lower class home we just saw. And a lot of these wealthier homes had these open air courtyards where they could receive guests, host parties. You see there's a number of like vegetation and trees growing throughout. But it also served as a religious purpose, as you're going to see here in this little shrine that is built into the compound of this wealthier person's home, because they could afford more things, including a better way to worship their gods.
Funeral stone inscriptions focused on the main member of a household. Encircling this person would then be a spouse, parents, and children, possibly even siblings. These stones were so structured because there were no surnames in ancient Egyptian culture. Parents and children were a sort of family tree, which allowed for the identification of the deceased.
Hopefully this tour gave you a good understanding of the difference between upper and lower class Egyptians when it comes to housing and what their houses look like. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next tour. Thank you.